Welcome to the OSHA Compliance Help Show. I'm your host, Sheldon Primus. Going to do live OSHA Compliance Help questions for you. So if you do have one of those questions that you need answered, go ahead and hit me up in the chat box, or you could get me on LinkedIn. I'm actually going to get on my LinkedIn right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to see it live. I don't know if I'll be able to see what you're seeing, but that might be something I could do. I am going to check my messages too, because I did get a couple of them this week, or one of them that I really want to make sure I go ahead and address. So, hi. You can see my my edges of my green screen. So, yeah, look at that right there. Boom. I'm not too sure why that chair's not working for me, but oh well. I might have to move the logo up or something. But anyway, if you do have some questions, go ahead, type that in. This is the OSHA Compliance Help Show. I'm going to help you with any live questions that you have on OSHA Compliance Help. I'm your man. I'll be able to do that one for you. And if I can't, then I won't be able to. Oh well. We're going to have to look it up then. If I can't do it live, then I'll look it up. So anything that you need question-wise for you, for your clients, for winning a bet, I always add that in just in case, because I do hear that a lot too. Go ahead and throw in that question in for me. I'll be good. Good morning, Eddie. How are you doing? Wow, Nashville. We're taking it back. That's been a while, haven't we? That's so great. Hopefully everything's been going all right for you, man. I love old students checking in. If you got any questions, go ahead and type that in too as well. So that's actually awesome. I like seeing some old students up there. So here is one question I got this week that I'm going to answer for you guys live. I did actually answer it. I sent him an email back. But here's the question. I'll read it as it was sent to me. Hi, Sheldon. What is your thought on the main entrance and exit doors / fire exit doors being propped open throughout the day at an establishment in order to curb the spread of COVID from people touching the door handles? Should the door remain closed, being that it's a fire exit door / main entrance and exit door? Thoughts? So that was the question that was sent to me via LinkedIn. And I was like, a lot of elements to that question. Anybody have some answers to that one? Then go ahead and, put your answer in the chat, and I'll give you a good chance to get at it. Good. Glad to hear that you're doing all right, Eddie. Excellent. Put a smile on my face. Look at that. You got me smiling over there. I love hearing from old students. So that was the totality of that question. Hopefully you guys could wrap your mind around that. But what he's thinking, they're opening and closing, or at least opening this door so that people don't have to touch it. And let's go back. Let's say we're talking about COVID-19, and that's really what he's thinking in his mind is, if someone's touching the door, I'm going to have to sanitize this thing, and then therefore that means it touched the door. I'm going to rub my face, get into my eye, and now there's a spread of this virus to me through a mode of transmission, absorption. So in this case, let's leave the door open. And that's pretty much what I'm hearing him say. So if that's what he's saying here, there's a lot of things to think about. One of them would be, what does your fire code say about that? The door opening, it's actually a lower transmission for the touch potential versus getting circulation of the air, which is really good, getting some extra fresh air to go through the room, which is micro droplets. That's what they're calling it now, micro droplets. Well, not now. That's just the name, micro droplets. So in the micro droplets, if the room hasn't had the air ventilated and circulated well, then what you're going to do is you're going to end up having a predominance of these micro droplets. You don't know a few things, but the idea is it's a potential for an infection because of that. So if you're opening the door for ventilation purposes, that's not a bad idea. Leaving it propped open, that's the thing that I'm thinking about. So if it's in an exit route, meaning this door is on an exit route that leads to the outside, if there's a fire in this particular room when you're trying to get out and the door's left open, then the actual fire rating that the building has due to occupancy would be reduced. So therefore, I wouldn't do that. I'd probably keep those doors closed normally, open it from time to time to pretty much get a nice flow of air going through there. That's probably the way to think of it. The other thing that I'm thinking is, it depends on a few things. Again, I don't know the whole situation, so I can't give them this is what to do. But what I am going to think about would be, is there a theft? Is there something that could happen where people could come in and now there'll be an active assailant? Anything like that is what I'm thinking of behind it. So creating something to stop COVID, which is like don't touching the door handle, may have created a greater hazard, meaning that now all of a sudden you have to think about, active assailants, robberies. You got to think about trapping the fire if you do have a fire-rated room. So many things, right? It's the domino effect where you're like, this one could lead to this one, could lead to this one, and it just keeps kind of trickling down to you. So that's my thought on that. I gave him the answer similar to what I'm asking you now, or at least saying now, and that is truly, it's a lot of considerations. The door handle, if that's the issue, I would just go ahead and put up right there in the opening or wherever it is, where you could have a hand washing station, or even better, well, hand wash station is probably better, or even more convenient would be having some place where you could go ahead and sterilize your hands with some hand sand. It's not as, it means the person's going to have to take some sort of initiative to do it. However, it's probably a little bit better of an option for a building for that one. All right. Any other OSHA compliance questions that you may have, go ahead and type that in the chat box for me. I'm going to answer your OSHA compliance questions. I like to do this, twice a week. You're going to see me do this again on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and do the OSHA compliance question. So I'm waiting for everyone to type it out, whatever you're typing, wherever you're listening to me on. Then go ahead and start typing while you're doing that. I'm going to tell you about my OSHA Compliance Masterclass. Oops, I got another comment just come in right there. So the OSHA Compliance Help Masterclass, that's coming in January. You could register now. Go to sheldonprimus.com/events. Go ahead and register now. All right. Hello, Sheldon. I can't see the name on LinkedIn, unfortunately. So as you're seeing on the screen, it's showing LinkedIn user. How about the OSHA compliance related to active shooter? Reference general liability clause. So truly, states have to take their own lead on this one. So OSHA does not have anything related to active assailant guidance in any way on a federal level. I believe Cal OSHA has something, and Oregon OSHA may have something. Trying to think of whoever, someone else may have. I can't remember who else, but what you're really going to be thinking about is awareness, training, engineering controls as best as you can, and then also you want to reduce the triggers that would lead to an active shooter as best as possible. But if you're thinking of an active assailant and you have those doors open, like I was just talking about before, then that's going to be a big issue. However, the other thing that you want to make sure that you are training your people on is, what does a bullet actually sound like? Most people may not know what that sounds like. And the other thing that you want to train is, what is our protocol? How quickly can we get into our safe area if that's the case, depending on the warehousing, depending on office, depending on a few other things. How can you have several of these things? How are you going to communicate with each other? How do you know when the actual police are there if this person's apprehended? And then also there's a few other questions related to that. So on the OSHA national level, they don't actually have the standard to that, but there are some guidance that they have there. Question is, do you think OSHA should come up with the federal guidance? I say this as courts have awarded compensations to victims using this clause, and OSHA should. It's a workplace safety issue, and truly you could be cited from it from a 5A1 general duty clause, which is the same kind of clause that you could see with the general liability clause. General duty clause in the Act, OSHA Act 5A1, says, you know better. That's really what it boils down to. You know better. You got to protect your workers at all costs, is what that general duty clause is. OSHA should do it. OSHA is one of those places that when you're looking at the worker and you really want to make sure that you're going to protect the worker from all costs, that's an OSHA thing. They got to make sure they protect the workers from all those angles. The general duty clause makes it where they're supposed to. So truly you want to make sure that those are the things that you're going to look at if you're training. And then also, if you're responsible for these people through the OSHA guidelines. So thank you so much for the question, LinkedIn user. I'm not too sure the name because it didn't show up, the name per se. But thank you for the chat there and bringing that to presence, bringing that to the mind. I will show you guys. I'm going to look it up real quick on my side so you don't have to figure out the me typing in, but I'm going to show you, and I'll put into the link. It'll be coming up on everywhere that you're looking or listening to me right now. This is coming from Homeland Security, or it might be. Let me do it real quick, but I'm going to look it up as active shooter preparedness. CISA is the name of the organization. I'm going to put it in the chat box. So wherever you're listening to me right now, check the chat box. It's going to be coming from me. So this is free active shooter preparedness information. I didn't know we were going to go down this route. So, hey, you guys are helping me out. So I do have a question here, and this is probably going to answer that question already. So most businesses, you aren't going to see any kind of OSHA. It says any place where you can represent and have OSHA act on this. Honestly, unless it's a guideline, businesses don't care, and that's the truth. In some areas, most people aren't thinking about. Hold on, gotta take a sip. Most people are thinking about, bottom line. They're not getting ready for any of those things that are going to happen that they don't perceive is going to happen to them, is really what it boils down to. It's not going to happen to me. I see it in the news, but it only happens to big places, and they don't really think about that. If there's a guidance from OSHA, they'll think about that. So that's why the states had to take charge for their own state plan. Federal OSHA, probably not going to do it. Let's say it this way. It's more likely in a Democratic presidency than a Republican presidency. Not to mean anything that is wrong with either or, not to be political, but it's just historically speaking, if this would happen, it would probably be under a Democratic presidency that federal OSHA will take the reins on that. But then they'll have to go through the same process as any other things that you could see in the unified agenda, and it would take some time, is really how it would plan that out. So is there a company online, 40-hour HAZWOPER? All right, Carl Henderson. I'm going to have to lead you to Alan Wolford. So Alan's one of my students, and he actually has a contact for that. I really don't know if he has the course himself, but there is a national organization that does that. And they do have the 40 Whopper online. It depends on if you're looking for train to trainer, or if you're looking for. There's a few other HAZWOPers, so it depends on what level you're looking for. So the 40 hour is telling me that you're probably going to be someone who is going to actively be doing the cleanup process. And I'm taking a quick look. That's why you hear me hesitating. I'm doing a quick search for you as well, because I do think I know one other company that'll do it. And it's my OTI, where I got my OSHA training. I think that they actually have the 40 hour as well. I don't mind sharing that one. I do share some information related to people who sponsor the program or something. But I also believe a lot in Mid-South OTI, where I actually got my OSHA training. So I'm going to look it up just for you, since you asked a question. Now, so since you asked a question, and they don't have it there, so I'm going to put, you really want to look up Alan Wolford, WOOFORD. So that's who you want to look up, Alan Wolford. My wife's got in here. Oh, sorry, one F, one O. So it's WOFFARD. Oh, Alan, you were gonna kill me. I just butchered your name for all the years I've known you. Here I am butchering your name. So forgive me there, bud. He does not need the train to trainer course, Carl. So you really want to look Alan up. So Alan's the one that's going to help you out on LinkedIn. You're going to look for Alan, ALLEN, WOFFARD. He's part of the Safety FM family, and his show with two other people is the Dragging Up 6.0 show. So you can listen to Alan and look up Dragging Up 6.0 on safetyfm.com. That's the guy I'm talking about. He's going to help you with that. Alan's good people. All right. Any other questions that you may have? I'm going to give you guys time to type it out. Any questions, any service things for OSHA compliance, go ahead. If you need a lead, I'll go ahead and help you out with that one as well. So, Carl, hopefully you can get what you need there. The other thing, since it seems like you guys wanted to know a little bit more about the active shooter, so I gave you the one link in there from CISA, which stands for Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. It's a government agency, so that's why this training is free for you. And there is also a training out there that is coming from Homeland Security, and that one can give you CEUs. So I'm going to look that up. So Homeland Security, and I think it's emergency management. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to put it in the chat box for you guys as well. And the emergency management for Homeland Security, they will actually have, I believe, 4 to 5 different programs you could take online, and you could get CEUs for it too. So it's a good thing to have. All right, I'm looking at it over here. I'm at dhs.gov. Disaster Response and Recovery is where I am. There's a training, first responder training. I'm going to give you guys the whole page. And what you're going to do now is, so basically anywhere you're hearing me right now, I'm going to type into the chat box and look at the chat box. You're going to see a link from Homeland Security's training page. Not only can you learn some training as a first responder, but as a citizen and everything else. And this might also lead to Carl for you and Haswapper. Yeah, there's a little bit to that. I used to train Haswapper, and because I was an incident commander from one of my old jobs working with the state of Florida. So I was an incident commander for a special district of the state. I used a lot of resources and training coming from Department of Homeland Security, and before Homeland Security, there was a Department of Community Affairs, and that's for some people that don't want to go way back like I do, that was pretty much who I was regulated under. So yeah, we'll get this. Oh, is that a David Daly sighting that I see over there? All right, my buddy David. How you doing, man? He's actually, I interviewed him in one of my early podcast episodes. So if you had a chance to check that out, then go ahead and do that. Anything on COVID-19 and OSHA reporting requirements, and is it a recordable event? Whew, you trying to set me up there, bud? Yeah, you just laying it out, trying to get me set up. All right, the answer is yes. So COVID-19, it is a recordable event, yes. If, see how I added that little if there's a few other things. So recordability goes like this. If you go to 1904 and you start thinking about the 1904 recordability, recordability for record keeping deals with a few things. One is the person experiencing an injury or illness? Second thing is, for injury and illness is, injury and illness. Second thing is it work related? And then did it happen in a work environment? And then third is truly special circumstances. So it has to go beyond first aid and a few other things. So with with COVID-19 vaccine stuck in everybody's head, that is, yes, definitely recordable. OSHA has a problem that they're working out now is, how do you know it's being contracted through the work environment? Once there's a spread, and hey, Troy, how you doing, man? Troy goes back in my New York days. Troy is an excellent drummer. Like, he was my drumming idol, man, when I was a kid. So thank you, Troy. I'm doing this as much as I can for everybody that we know. So when you're looking at COVID-19, and OSHA's got to answer a couple of questions there. They need to know, is it work-related? Work-related means, most part, is this. You are at this place where you contracted this virus, and that's the SARS-CoV coronavirus 2. You contacted this in your work environment where you have to be there as a condition of your employment, and you're doing something in the interest of your employer, or it's within your working hours. So once you're truly working those things out in your mind, it becomes easier for OSHA to prove that COVID-19 is work-related once you start seeing a second and a third and a fourth case from this employer. Now that you start seeing that, then that becomes where it's recordable if, that's the if part, if there's a hospitalization due to the contraction of this virus or a fatality. So it has to go beyond first aid. So hopefully that answered your question there, David. I really want to make sure that I covered everything. It's a little tricky because of the way that OSHA words it, but it is recordable. So that means if you do have some workers that are exposed to the virus, do as best as you can contact tracing, but then you're going to really need to get a hold of the family and be as upfront as possible, empathetic as well. Don't forget your empathy, but empathetic as well. And then truly, if they do succumb to the point of hospitalization within 30 days, that's another caveat. Within 30 days, then now you're going to have to say it's recordable. If the person is sick, and let's say they missed work due to an illness, and you are now saying that they contracted this at work, now the day that they missed is going to be the day that you're saying you had a recordable event. You count the days that they're going to be away from work, but OSHA doesn't need that notification. They only need the notification if there's a hospitalization. You find out about it, call OSHA within 24 hours. If it's a fatality, then you have to call OSHA within 8 hours of you finding it. If the person missed a day of work because of feeling ill or sick, and now you could say reasonable for you to expect that they contracted it from this cluster of workers, that now becomes the recordable event. A lot of components there, David, so hopefully I helped you out. So anybody else, Dave Daly, he's one of those guys that is a consultant, and he's also someone who's worked with the insurance company as well. He's in South Florida, so if you're interested, get a hold of Dave Daly down there, help you out. Troy, if you have any questions, man, I'll be glad to help you out. OSHA compliance questions for you guys. Wherever you're listening to me from, whatever platform, I'm on Facebook right now, simultaneously going on LinkedIn and YouTube and 2 channels and Twitch. So got a lot of exposure right now. So if you do have an issue that you would like to get some clarification on OSHA compliance, I'm your buddy. I'm here to help you out right now while you're typing, because, I got some people that's doing one of these things, the 2 fingers typing. I'll give you a chance to type that in. If you're interested in being a consultant, not everybody is. It's only a few of us says, this is what I want to do. If you're interested, you need a little help in figuring out how to do it, go ahead and go to safetyconsultantblueprint.com. I got a book and I've got the course. So it'll help you figure all that stuff out. So go ahead and go to safetyconsultantblueprint.com. I'll help you out. If you just want to listen to the podcast, whatever you listen to podcasts on, just type in Sheldon. No. My podcast is Safety Consultant with Sheldon Primus. I always forget my own podcast name. So whatever you listen to podcasts on, go ahead and type that in, and that's where you're going to be able to listen to the podcast. If you subscribe, that'll be even better. So I think I might be tapped with questions. You are definitely welcome there, Dave. Before I go, I want to tell you for the podcast, the week between Christmas and New Year's, I'm actually going to do a podcast each day. So Monday will be my 95th podcast, Tuesday 96, Wednesday 97, and you get it. So then the following Monday, which is January 4th, the first Monday in January, will be my 100th episode. So I'm really trying to celebrate the 100th episode. I'm having people who's been on the show come back. Not everybody, obviously. I can't do. I've had, I would imagine maybe about 30 interviews, maybe more. So I can't have everyone back, but I got a few select that already have agreed to be back with me. So throughout that week of between Christmas and New Year's, most people don't do anything. You might even be off of work. That's okay. Just hang out with me. Listen to me for as long as the show is. I'm probably going to keep them within the 35 to an hour max. That's really what, most people listen to about that much in podcasts. So that's what I'm going to do right there. So if you have a chance, go ahead and listen up for that week. You can still listen to me every Monday too. And then on Safety FM, I actually am on, I believe, 8 to 9, but that changes, so it's subject to change, but I think that's where I am right now, 8 to 9, on the Safety on the Safety FM network. So you just go to safetyfm.com, listen to the shows, or you could just find my show, or you could get the app, Safety FM app. So there you go. All right, I went through all that. I do not see any more comments, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up for this week. You guys did excellent. Thank you for hanging out with me, everyone, and answering some, asking some questions, chatting, checking in. So if there's anything else that you need me to do, send an email to me, sheldon@sheldonprimus.com, or you can actually send a message from LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you're listening to me, and I'll put your question on there and answer that one as best as I can. So I'm going to check one more time. All right, I got nothing in my LinkedIn, so I think we're good to go. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'm going to do this again on Thursday at 11 o'clock. However you're listening to me right now, you're going to see me again. So if you didn't get your question in today, go ahead and get ready and send me an email, or you could do it live, and then I'll answer that for you. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day. Go get them.